Why even talk about it? The Dow is down 58 points. The NASDAQ Composite's down on the surface. Under the hood, there's some, real stuff that's moving there, but the indices as a whole are just not feeling it because everything's kind of, moving in different directions. But like today's an example, Google's back down 1%, Palantir's down 2.5%, Oracle's down 1 1/3, but you've got Micron up 5%. Let's see, Eaton Corporation's up 4%, GE Vernova's up 7%. So it's just kind of, again, like not everything's moving in one direction or another, which is good if you don't like volatility, but it's bad if you want your stocks to, try to make new all-time highs on the major indices. It's kind of hard to do that when everything's just pulling in different directions. We've got the 10-year U.S. Treasury. That is moving in one direction today, and that is up 4.7 basis points to 4.207%. Gold is down 51.80 an ounce to 45.71 Silver Bull's really kind of taking it on the chin today, down 5.25%. I know everyone and their grandmother's been talking about silver in the last couple months. Mm-hmm. I just, I mentioned it today just because of that. I don't know anything about it really. It's silver. That's the color and the name of it. We've got crude oil up 60 cents a barrel to $59.79. AAA national average for gas prices back down 0.5 cents to 283 9/10. So some little wobbles here and there, but not too much of a move in either direction right now. And so that is what is moving in markets today.
CNBC is reporting that Warsh is sprinting ahead in the Fed chair race.
Yeah, it's just
Trump
prediction
comments,
markets, yeah.
In prediction markets. So
prediction markets aren't worth the money that's predicted on them.
Maybe not.
You got to remember, the people that are actually betting in prediction markets are not their lives changed by the next Fed chair. Larry Fink isn't on Kalshi.
No. I'm just still wondering who placed the bet on Venezuela hours before we moved to Venezuela. So that's
probably not Maduro. This is my point.
Agreed. Not Maduro, but maybe somebody with some inside knowledge.
So I'm just not sure that prediction markets are a useful signal in most contexts.
Okay.
It's no different from, how often are prop bets right on gambling sites?
Sure.
I don't know. It's just it's what people do. So we've got this piece from Wall Street Journal. Powell investigation upends final stretch of Fed chair contest. I disagree with the premise here, and I know this comes from it's a 3 byline piece, so there's some heft behind it from Nick Timmeros, Siobhan Hughes, and Josh Dawsey. But
are you debating the definition of upend here? What's
I don't think anything that's going on right now is going to change who President Trump picks, and I don't think that anything that's happening here is actually going to impact the likelihood of that person getting through the Senate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got, Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski saying, we don't want to vote on anyone until the probe is resolved. Okay, show me what you do, not what you say.
Yep.
I don't think this actually changes anything. The place that I do think it changes something that is interesting to me is I do think that based on the events of the last week or so, I do think the next Fed chair is going to have a tougher time holding their committee together because they are going to be viewed more and more skeptically by the existing members of that committee, one of whom may or may not be Jay Powell himself if he decides to stay on as a governor.
Yeah, see, that's agreed. I don't know that this is going to upend. Well, I guess that is kind of where...
It's not going to upend the search process.
It's not going to upend the search process. It's not going to lead President Trump to choose some new Kevin to run the Fed who he thinks he's going to be more independent because he knows that he will get his choice through ultimately. I tend to agree there. You're right. I think the more interesting case is for the other rotating 12 voting members, how dug in are they going to be against this new Fed chair?
Right. Like,
that is a pretty interesting
like,
piece. And
is the new Fed chair being like more hamstrung by this? That's a hard maybe.
yeah, not because looking at the exorbitant legal costs that Jay Powell is racking up right now on his own personal dime to try and fight these charges, and I'd imagine that's pretty scary for a lot of Fed chairs that may not be as wealthy as Jay Powell.
Well, you got to think of it in this context. After you're the Fed chair, you can accumulate the wealth. Then you go on the speaking circuit. Sure. And remember, Ben Bernanke was getting $250,000 per appearance. There's been some inflation.
Yeah.
I don't see why you can't go out and get $500,000 per appearance if you're the next Fed chair. A Fed governor going rate's probably $50,000 to $100,000 per appearance.
Yep. You can still get a pretty good gig after. Yeah, it is. We will. I guess we'll just have to see.
That pays for like 1 hour of legal fees, but
it does not. There's really tough to paint a picture where this series of events is going to make the next chair's job easier.
Yeah, that's kind of where I land at this point on it. So I don't think that the Fed's... Again, we should know who this person is going to be in the next couple weeks. I think that was the indication we had received in December was, January was kind of the time. And look, we got 2 weeks left in January. So I think we're going to know who the nominee is by the end of the month. And I don't have any idea, to be honest. Like if you asked me who I think would do the best job, I think I still probably land with Waller just because I think he's been dialed
into
this.
Is he really a contender?
No.
Yeah.
But he's running.
So Hassett or Kevin's, which one? Because I don't have an opinion here.
I think I probably lean towards Hassett.
Okay.
I think I probably just because I don't. Hassett is also very plugged into what is going on right now. I just don't know that I've seen anything from Warsh in the last 5 to 6 years that's particularly notable, interesting, or directionally correct more often than not. It's just kind of what I just don't know that there's any juice there necessarily. It's not to say that he will or won't do a bad job if he's the person. None of us actually know. We have no idea how they're actually going to do once they're in the seat. But I don't know. I just view Waller as the guy who, again, has been absolutely locked into what this economy has been doing for the last 5 years. I think it's something also where, remember, he was nominated by President Trump during his first term also to the Board of Governors. So, there's familiarity there as well. It's not like this is someone who's not Trump's guy. And I think that he's proven to be just very in tune with where this economy is right now. And that, to me, is important, I think. So that's my pitch for Waller.
Yeah.
But I've got no real dog in the fight. Whoever it is who it's going to be. And, it's, we deal with it, we move on, and, you go about your day. That's how you do it. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's do some trivia, and then let's talk mortgages and the housing market right after this.
Miss any of the show? Catch up at your convenience by visiting financialexchangeshow.com and clicking the on-demand icon where you'll find all of our interviews and full shows. This is your home for the latest business and financial news in New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. When a loved one needs a nursing home, decisions need to be made quickly. If you haven't started planning yet, get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. In it, you'll learn how to make smart decisions and avoid unnecessary expenses. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699 or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands. This is a place in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water. And your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Hi, this is Chuck Zodda from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as you prepare for retirement is missing important deadlines for Social Security and Medicare. You can apply for Social Security up to 4 months before you want benefits to begin. Medicare has a 7-month enrollment window around your 65th birthday. Missing that window may cause coverage delays. Something else to consider is that you don't have to start them at the same time. You can enroll in Medicare at 65, but delay Social Security to increase your monthly benefit. Learn more in our new guide called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. To get your free copy, call us today at 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001, or request the guide online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Hear the Financial Exchange every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Keep it here for the latest business and financial news and the trends on Wall Street. The Financial Exchange is now live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange is brought to you by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. Experience America's Caribbean and fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands while enjoying incredible beaches, world-class cuisine, and unforgettable sunsets. The weather is perfect all year round, so head to visit usvi.com and book your trip to St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John. Enjoy one or all 3 and enjoy the vacation of a lifetime. The USVI is America's Caribbean paradise. Plan your winter escape now and visit usvi.com. That's visit usvi.com. Time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange, and on this day in 2001, President Clinton awarded a former U.S. president with the Medal of Honor. To this day, he is the only U.S. president to have received the Medal of Honor. So, trivia question today. Which U.S. president is the only recipient of the Medal of Honor? Once again, which U.S. president is the only recipient of the Medal of Honor? Be the 4th person today to text us at 617-362-3776. 1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the fourth correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385. Along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
I want to talk a little bit about the housing market. There's a piece in Bloomberg. Mortgages at 6% pose critical test for frozen housing market. And a couple different pieces that I want to explore on this. The first is, in and of itself, lower mortgage rates aren't actually going to change the housing market to make it more affordable. And the reason why is because it's not just you that has that lower mortgage rate. Case in point, let's say that you're bidding on a house that is listed at $300,000. Mortgage rates drop 0.1%. That generally means that you have about 1% more that you can extend on in the monthly payment. In the headline price without pushing your monthly payment up from where it was previously. Sure. So you say, okay, I could bid, $303,000, or I could just, get this house at $300,000 and my monthly payment would be 1% less. The problem is, if I'm bidding on that house and Mike is and Tucker is, if only one of us makes the decision, well, hey, I can bid more now, well, then it hasn't actually made the house more affordable.
Right.
It's just been a case where, okay, now the price is going to be lifted because the monthly payment will still be the same. It hasn't.
I do feel comfortable saying it's not going to increase affordability. It is likely to increase sales volumes, which would be good for our economy, but not necessarily for buyers.
But, and this is the important piece of this, this doesn't happen just in a vacuum, because as mortgage rates come down, there are fewer sellers that are locked into their properties than before, which means more inventory can be listed, which means less competition because you have the same number of buyers now competing for more inventory. And so that, in theory, could improve affordability, not really in the short term, because it's not like home prices move down the second a place lists. It's much more, okay, as more places sit for longer, then you have more price cuts that happen. So this is something that might play out over the next 1 to 3 years. And this, again, is why I think, and why I'm on record as saying, I think for housing we have reached peak affordability concerns, because I think no matter what happens over the next couple of years, we're going to be in a position where housing is more affordable in 27, 28, 29, simply because we're going through this housing cycle and it's going to play out in that fashion.
Next time we have Mike Simonson on, I want to ask him about his point that he made about affordability. So Mike Simonson, who you've heard on the program before, he is now the chief economist at Compass Realty. He says homes are actually more affordable than they've been since 2020 once income growth is factored in, according to his data that he's gathered. And on the surface, I found that surprising initially when you think about how much prices have increased since 2020. But so have incomes, and I'm very interested to see what data he's pulling there in terms of how you factor that in. Are you factoring in the additional interest or costs? I assume that he is with all of those things, and nobody that I know has a better view on the real estate market than Mike Simonson. But I found that piece to be quite interesting. We have been just facing a flood of different ideas when it comes to fixing affordability in the housing market. The other one that I haven't had the chance to talk to you about, Chuck, you see Ackman's idea?
No.
So his idea is allow banks to reintroduce prepayment penalties on mortgages.
Okay, hang on. Allow banks to reintroduce.
Right now, you basically, if you get a mortgage of any kind, it's pretty much illegal for a bank to offer
a prepayment,
one with a prepayment penalty. It can't be sold. It's not conforming. It's basically, they just don't do it. So his thought is, okay, if you start allowing, let's call it a 30-year mortgage with a 15-year prepayment penalty, would the bank be willing to offer a lower rate? I would think yes. Would the consumer be willing to take it? I'm not sure. But I thought about it long and hard, and my answer is I don't think it's going to dramatically reshape affordability in the housing market, but I don't see why we wouldn't allow it.
So let's just, I'm trying to think through this because I've literally never thought about prepayment penalties in my life.
Sure.
It's not. What's the reason why they're generally not allowed?
I don't know. It's part of the Dodd-Frank Act.
Okay.
I think probably there are a whole bunch of really complex types of mortgages prior to '08 that got people in a lot of trouble financially, and they kind of tried to simplify the living heck out of them. Get rid of all the balloon payments, get rid of all the crazy mortgage styles that were out there, and pretty
mortgage with no prepayment penalty. If I want, I can make extra payments towards that and pay it off sooner and pay less interest.
Correct.
Compare that to, and I don't know if this is how much the difference would be. Let's say there's a 5.5% mortgage, but I can't prepay anything. Is that bad for me relative to the 6?
It obviously depends on whether or not you can afford to make extra payments. I like the optionality. I like the choice.
I do too.
I like the idea of it. And I like sitting there and going through the thought exercise as I'm buying a home of saying, okay, I can get my 6%, I can get my 15-year mortgage at 5.7%, or I can get this 30-year with the prepayment at 5.4. I'm making up a number.
Yeah.
Again, doesn't solve any of the problems, nor, by the way, does blocking corporate buyers of buying new single-family residences. It does not solve any of the affordability problems. They own about 0.5% of current single-family homes, so it's not likely to make a big change there. But there's been a lot of proposals on housing over the course of the last few weeks. It seems to be the thing that everyone wants to comment on right now.
And I'll return to my statement. I think we're fighting the last battle there because I think within the next 2 to 3 years, I don't think housing affordability is going to be the issue that it's been over the last 2 to 3.
Tend to agree.
And so I think we're fighting the last battle there. And we're going to probably end up doing something that's not necessary because housing, it's a slow-moving market. Like, it doesn't just turn on a dime. So we'll see where things go. Quick break here. When we come back, we've got Trivia Answer and Wall Street Watch.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial...
Sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Did you outgrow your timeshare and now you want out? But you can't. You can't sell it, and you can't get out of the contract. Imagine trying to get out of your mortgage. That's what a timeshare is. You can't just call up the bank and say, I don't want to pay it anymore. But we may be able to help you do just that. Listen, a timeshare maybe for you once was a great thing, but now you don't use it much. And they are not easy to get rid of. Plus, you do have to pay for it every month. Qualified timeshare owners can get out of their contract legally and permanently without ruining your credit or even filing bankruptcy. And imagine no more mortgage payment or fees. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline qualification line now. It's free to learn more.
800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. That's 800-455-7967. Paid for by Timeshare Defense.
Social Security and Medicare are oftentimes lumped together, but may be handled separately. And depending on your strategy, they could shape your entire retirement plan. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Choosing when to start Social Security has many effects, including determining the amount of guaranteed income you receive each month. Medicare decisions go beyond coverage as they can impact premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and access to providers throughout throughout retirement. Our new guide is called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It will help you learn how these decisions may fit together and how to take the right steps at the right time to build a secure retirement plan. Call us at 800-393-4001 to get your copy of How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Tucker Silva, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange legal quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about last-minute nursing home lessons that can help save your assets. Todd, more and more people are providing in-home care for their loved ones. Is there anything a care provider can do that would be beneficial to them or the family?
So if you're already providing care for an individual at home, and more people, as you said, are in fact doing that, the best thing to do is to set up a personal care contract, right? A personal care contract is something that allows you to get paid by your family member, and as long as you report it on your income tax return and prepare a personal care contract, make sure you get an elder law lawyer to help you prepare that contract because it's got to be done right. But if you do those two things, get the contract and provide the care and put the income on your income tax return, the transfers are non-disqualifying transfers. So even if you don't make the 5 years, those dollars that you're moving will not need to be returned and they will be protected. Also, while you're doing that, set up the trust and get the 5-year clock started. Put some assets in because you just never know if you're going to make it or not, and you would always want to have that 5-year clock running to protect your assets.
Cushing & Dolan has written a brand new guide, especially for those of you who have put off doing your planning and are now faced with a last-minute nursing home situation. Request this brand new guide from Cushing & Dolan. It's called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. You can call 866-848-5699, or you can simply request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com. Once again, simply call 866-848-5699, or get it from their website at legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch, a complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Well, after a pretty choppy week, markets on this Friday are really flat and mixed. Right now, the Dow is down by only 4 points. S&P 500 is up about 0.1% or 9 points higher. NASDAQ up over 0.1% or 32 points higher. Russell 2000 is up nearly 0.3%. 10-year Treasury yield up 4 basis points now at 4.207%, and crude oil up 1.25%, trading just below $60 a barrel. Several chip makers are edging higher following yesterday's upward movement, driven by a record quarter from Taiwan Semiconductor. Meanwhile, logistics company J.B. Hunt recorded lower quarterly revenue as transcontinental load volumes declined. J.B. Hunt shares are dipping. Elsewhere, Novo Nordisk, that stock is up 4% on optimism about the drug maker's new weight loss pill. The UK also approved a higher dose of Wegovy for obesity patients. Competitor Eli Lilly is now up actually 1% after seeing losses in early trading. More bank earnings after PNC Financial reported higher quarterly profit on the back of loan growth and increased demand for its financial services. PNC stock is up 3%. M&T Bank also posted a higher fourth quarter profit lifted by growth in net interest income. That stock is down nearly 1%, however. And Honeywell shares are up by about 2%. After the industrial giant was upgraded to overweight from neutral at J.P. Morgan, where the bank cited Honeywell's planned breakup. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And in the previous segment, we asked you the trivia question, which is right here in my hands now. Which U.S. president is the only recipient of the Medal of Honor? That would be Teddy Roosevelt. Haven't heard that answer in a while. Steve in Rochester, New Hampshire is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Steve. And we play trivia every day here in the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
China and Canada announcing reciprocal tariff relief after a meeting between Xi Jinping and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. And I'll just quote here from the BBC. China is expected to lower levies on Canadian canola oil. Whew. You ever grown canola?
No, but I've been to Western Canada and seen the beautiful yellow fields of
canola fields.
Flowers.
Yeah. It's something to see before you die.
So I looked at this story, and frankly, this is not fixing relations between Canada and China by any stretch of the imagination. But I do look at this as a downstream impact of tariffs on Canadian goods. Like there hasn't been a ton of movement between the U.S. and Canada. Clearly, a lot of friction. And I see this as an additional step, just like when American liquor was removed from shelves in Canada. And specifically, what we're seeing here is Chinese-made cars making their way into a market that's very close to the United States. And that piece I find interesting because part of the whole tariff problem and debate was, hey, we're just not going to really allow even American car manufacturers to manufacture in Canada. And Canada's saying, okay, well, if that's going to be the case, we want a backup plan, and the backup plan that they're turning to is China for the moment.
I got to say, the backup plan's dumb.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be great for Canada.
No, here's the thing. So Canada is going to allow Chinese EVs into the country at the most favored nation tax rate of 6.1%. Right now, they're tariffed at a 100% rate.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Chinese EVs. By all accounts, they are perfectly fine, cromulent automobiles. They're very, much ahead of Western counterparts in some respects.
Agreed.
They're also very, very cheap. The reason that they're very, very cheap is because the Chinese EV makers receive exorbitant subsidies from the Chinese government to overproduce them to the point where they're basically having to dump them overseas because they can't sell them all in China and want to use them to basically decimate the local automotive industries of other countries that they sell them into.
So I agree here that Canada might be shooting themselves in the foot, but it's not as though Canada has some large homegrown auto company that is, proud Canadian company that manufactures autos. They mainly do manufacturing for American auto companies,
which they still
and if that's drying up,
well, where do they buy their cars from? Like those companies,
But I guess the point would be if those plants are closing down otherwise, right? If all the Canadians who are working for Ford and GM are on the verge of losing their jobs, what are you trying to defend in Canada?
I would hope so. I mean, that's kind of like saying, well, we're losing the hens to flu right now. We might as well open the house to the foxes.
I'm with you. I agree. I just think the incentives are different than the U.S. market, where we have something to protect here, and I think the Canadians are looking at it and saying, we are losing the thing that we wanted to protect previously. So open it up. Bad decision, but I see how they got there.
This is why I do not believe that Canada is a credible partner that wants to actually change trade with China in any way.
I tend to agree.
And
I'm not sure we've found that partner in any other country.
When people talk about we want to build consensus and work with other, trade partners to form, a barrier against China, I'm not sure Canada's reliable in that respect. I'm not saying that they're unreliable overall, but I'm saying when it comes to China, it's pretty clear that the Canadian government wants a closer working relationship with China. And I'm not sure that's in their best interest long term.
Yeah. Yeah, this story came as a pretty big surprise to me.
I'm not really surprised by it. Yeah. Europe does the same things. Europe talks a tough game, and then Germany's like, oh, fine, whatever you want, import the cars here and take out our, domestic auto industry. It really feels like those governments do not have serious aspirations to stand up to Chinese economic coercion.
Folks, if you happen to be listening to us in New Hampshire on either WQSO or GIR, you may already know that they are in the second of a 2-day event called Lending a Helping Hand, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that raises money for 12 agencies to feed the needy and homeless in New Hampshire and Vermont. Some of the agencies that benefit include Families in Transition, My Friend's Place, the Salvation Army of Manchester and Portsmouth, and the New Hampshire Food Bank. The event has raised more than $3 million since 1990. It'll continue until 7 p.m. tonight. Anyone listening on WGIR in Manchester or WQSO in Portsmouth that would like to contribute to this cause or bid on any of their online auction items, you can visit rock101fm.com. That's rock101fm.com.
Let's see. Do we want to talk about inherent? No, it's not. Let's take a break here, actually. Paul and Monica from Barron's is going to join us, so let's make sure we leave enough time for our chat with Paul, and he will join us right after this.
The Financial Exchange streams live on YouTube. Subscribe to our page and stay up to date on breaking business news all morning long. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Hi, this is Chuck Zodda from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as you prepare for retirement is missing important deadlines for Social Security and Medicare. You can apply for Social Security up to 4 months before you want benefits to begin. Medicare has a 7-month enrollment window around your 65th birthday. Missing that window may cause coverage delays. Something else to consider is that you don't have to start them at the same time. You can enroll in Medicare at 65, but delay Social Security to increase your monthly benefit. Learn more in our new guide called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. To get your free copy, call us today at 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001, or request the guide online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. When a loved one needs a nursing home, decisions need to be made quickly. If you haven't started planning yet, get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. In it, you'll learn how to make smart decisions and avoid unnecessary expenses. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699, or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up.
Because we have something better,
Stronger, more powerful.
we have each other.
When we come together and go red,
The more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
The Financial Exchange is now available every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Stay informed about the latest from Wall Street, fiscal policy, and breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
If you happen to miss any of our shows from this week, you can find them on our YouTube page. We stream the show live every day, but also archive every hour in all of our most newsworthy interviews. Go to YouTube, search for the Financial Exchange radio show, and hit that subscribe button.
As promised, we're now joined by Paul LaMonica from Barron's, here to talk a little bit about IMAX stock. Paul, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How you guys doing?
Doing well. How many movies did you see in theaters last year?
You know, I didn't see all that many. I could probably count on one hand. I mean, less than 5. I like many, do a lot of streaming these days. Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, what have you. We and the kids, we've pretty much got all the subscriptions.
Yeah, I saw one in theaters, and it was, and that was it. But
Yeah.
Despite that, and look, I know that I'm not the whole universe, I know, but despite, dropping overall attendance at theaters, IMAX stock up almost, at one point, almost doubling last year, and still up, basically 90% in the last 12 months or so. What is driving IMAX in that way when everything else, Netflix picking up Warner Brothers Discovery and everything else going on is pointing towards the death of theaters?
Yeah, I think that the concerns for the movie theater business are probably more about what it might mean, the consolidation in Hollywood for the likes of AMC and Cinemark and the traditional movie chains. When you look at IMAX, the fact that they are a real experience, the giant screens, the amazing sound, it really does cater itself to the big blockbuster movies that people want to see and have an experience, as opposed to, say, smaller, more intimate films that are going to get all the Oscar nominations. You don't need to see that in an IMAX film, IMAX theater. You can probably watch that at home and be fine. So I think that's one reason why IMAX is holding up better, and their box office shows it. That we had only about a 1% increase in domestic box office for the entire industry in 2025, but IMAX's U.S. box office revenue were up about 14%, and even Netflix isn't shying away from IMAX. They have a deal in place to have the new Narnia movie coming out later this year be shown exclusively in IMAX for 2 weeks before it goes to Netflix.
What is IMAX doing as far as expanding their theater presence? Like, do we have any numbers on how many theaters they have and how many they're trying to add each year? Or is that
it's a great question. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. But yes, IMAX obviously has been expanding.
Just lost Paul.
I think we lost Paul for a second there. We're going to work on getting him back. Tucker's pushing the buttons, and I'm sure we'll have him.
I got him on the phone.
You got him on the phone?
God forbid a piece of paper touches equipment, and then we lose LaMonica. That's exactly what happened.
Technology, Tucker.
A piece of paper touched that thing right there.
Well, why don't you have a paperless office?
Yeah.
It seems like there's an easy solution to this. We're talking about IMAX and everything. Just get rid of the paper.
While we're waiting for Paul, Dos Equis is trying to bring back the most interesting man in the world. The poor guy's 87.
Well, I'm busy.
It's not you.
Oh.
It's the second time we've had to refer to the fact that the world does not revolve around Chuck Zodda.
I'm actually
one segment.
I'm probably close to the most boring man in the world. It's like I go home, I eat dinner, I put my kids to bed, and I'm in bed by 8:30 most days.
So I know that beer is having some popularity problems right now, but I just really hope that bringing back an 87-year-old spokesperson for your beer brand actually works, because it could end up being a little bit sad if it doesn't go the right way.
Here's why
it was one of my favorite ad campaigns. Was the most interesting man in the world.
That's why I think it's going to work.
I went as him for Halloween once.
How'd it work?
I dyed my hair gray. I had a scar in my pocket. I wore a suit.
Did it play well?
Yeah, people got it.
Here's why I think it's going to work. It's not because they're desperate and just trying to reach back into that bag for something that worked before. It's that if you look at basically all major marketing campaigns from large companies right now, they're all targeting millennial nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it is working. We're seeing that in the actual data. And so just like there's a reason why VW brought back the Beetle in the 90s because of boomer nostalgia for, their heyday.
Yeah.
All these companies are trying to bring back what was big in the 90s and 2000s now, because millennials are no longer just, we're not just the lazy avocado toast eating, craft beer drinkers. They're the biggest demographic out there now with the biggest spending pool. And so that's why they're being targeted. Paul, we got you back now?
I am here.
Okay, fantastic. So, IMAX. What else about their business is, interesting in the context of the evolving media landscape?
Yeah, like I said, I think the big issue that investors had been maybe worried about is why the stock, I think, fell a little bit after the Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery Studio deal was announced, was that, again, another potential sign of, the movie business shifting to more of a streaming reality. But I think, when you're hearing this with, companies, I did another story this week about, hotel chains and how well they're doing. Consumers still like these experiences, and it may be something as lavish as a nice vacation, and it could be as something as, more simple, like, spending, however much a ticket, $20 or so dollars for, a pricey, movie ticket. It's expensive, compared to what movies used to cost, but I think people see it as a sort of affordable luxury. And, watching, for example, the next Marvel movie, I think that really kind of lends itself to that big screen and communal experience, as opposed to, watching it with your family on, even if it's a big screen TV with your fancy sound system. It's not the same as, watching it in a movie theater like an IMAX theater. So I think that's why IMAX has been holding up better than other movie theater chains. And again, it depends on the movie. You're not going to go watch, some,
The King's Speech
rom-com. You're not. Yes, exactly.
Paul, appreciate you joining us today. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys.
Paul Monica from Barron's talking about IMAX.
Counterpoint, I was out at my sister and brother-in-law's home in Indiana over Christmas break, and they had a home theater with, instead of a projector, a 98-inch television, which is as large as it sounds, and so I was just intrigued. Best Buy. I don't know this brand. Hisense 98-inch television. $1,000.
That's not the worst. I thought it would have been more than that.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Because it's a Chinese company dumping stuff into the United
Okay,
States.
the Samsung one's $1,900.
I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm just saying that's why it happens.
That is outrageously cheap.
I know. If there's one place that you can't complain about inflation, it's in TVs.
How is it that cheap?
It's
going to cost me more to hire somebody to mount it.
I mean, you got to have, do you have to, raise your ceilings in order to put that on the wall?
I don't know.
98 inch, it's
huge.
I'm doing that's 8 feet of TV.
It's diagonal.
Well, I know, but
yeah.
it's 8 feet diagonally.
Yeah.
8 feet 2 inches, actually, but
pretty awesome. Pretty awesome
it's
stuff.
A lot of TV. I remember as a kid, we were excited. It was ooh, there's a 27-inch one in this room. Look at that.
The main thing we did with that TV.
The back of it was this big.
Oh, yeah. You needed 3 people to carry them because they weighed 150 pounds.
Game after game of Mario Kart on the 98-inch television was a pretty solid way to spend most of my vacation.
It's like you're actually driving the cart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here. Movie theaters, yes.
Well, which I haven't been to in 5 years.
I saw
plus.
F1 last year. It was fine.
I haven't been in 5 years, dude.
Ringing endorsement.
It was fine. Like, perfectly cromulent experience. I love that word, by the way.
You sure do.
Because, like, everyone thinks you're being, like, mean about something. It's like, no, it was fine. Just, fancily fine. Let's take a quick cromulent break for the weekend, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.